Commander Kate Mara stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Discovery, watching the violet storms of Kepler 440 to be swirled beneath them like angry gods. Made manifest the crew had been studying the planet for 3 months now, and every scan showed the same impossible truth. Someone had terraformed this world, then abandoned it without explanation with alien structures dotting the surface. Were breathtaking in their complexity, yet they sat silent and empty like monuments to a civilization that simply vanished one day. Kate ran her fingers through her dark hair and sighed as her second-in-command Linda Price approached with a concerned expression on her. Whether Fassett picked up something unusual in Sector 7, Linda said quietly, handing over a datapad that showed thermal signatures clustering around one of the larger alien complexes. Kate felt her pulse quicken as she studied the readings because these signatures were fresh and moving with clear purpose through corridors that should have been dead for centuries. Within an hour, she had assembled a ground team consisting of herself, Linda, and their xenobiologist, Amy Clark, who practically vibrated with excitement at the prospect of potential first contact. They descended through the violet clouds in a shuttle that rattled and groaned against the alien atmosphere, until finally breaking through to see the sprawling complex rising from the jungle. Like a cathedral of crystalline metal, the moment they stepped onto the landing platform, Kate felt eyes watching them from somewhere within those towering structures. Amy swept her scanner across the building and gasped when the results appeared, because the life signs inside numbered in the hundreds, all clustered in what appeared to be some kind of central chamber. Kate led her team forward with weapons lowered, but ready as they passed through corridors lined with bioluminescent panels that flickered to life. At their approach, architecture seemed designed for beings much taller than humans, with doorways that soared overhead, and furniture that would require a ladder to use comfortably. They found the central chamber, exactly where the scans indicated, and what waited inside made Kate freeze in her tracks. Hundreds of alien women stood in organized rows, their bodies tall and elegant with skin that shimmered between shades of deep blue and violet like living twilight. They wore armor that seemed grown rather than forged, with organic curves and flowing lines that suggested both protection and artistry. The one who stepped forward stood nearly 8 feet tall, with eyes that glowed like amber caught in firelight, and when she spoke, her voice resonated through the chamber like music played on instruments humans had never imagined. "You are the ones called human," she said in perfect English that made Amy drop her scanner in shock. Kate swallowed her surprise and nodded slowly, while trying to project confidence she did not entirely feel. "In that moment, we are explorers from Earth," Kate replied, carefully studying the alien woman's face for any hint of hostility or threat. The alien woman tilted her head in a gesture that somehow conveyed both amusement and sadness before gesturing to the assembled warriors behind her. "We are Valderan," she explained, "and we have been waiting for your kind to find us for longer than your civilization has existed." Linda stepped closer, with her hand hovering near her sidearm as she asked the obvious question that hung in the air between their species. "Were you waiting for us specifically?" she demanded, with suspicion clear in her. "Tenedi Valderan," woman who introduced herself as Kirith moved to a wall panel that sprang to life at her touch, displaying star charts and data streams that made Amy gasp with recognition. "Bacchus, your species carries something precious within your genetic code," Kirith said quietly, "something that was stolen from us millennia ago by those who created this world." Kate felt ice settle in her stomach as she watched images flash across the screen, showing humans and Valderan side by side in what looked like ancient collaborative projects. Amy was already scanning frantically through her datapad, muttering calculations under her breath before looking up with wide-eyed genetic markers. She whispered, "They match certain unexplained sequences in human DNA that scientists have debated for decades." Kirith nodded with what might have been pride or perhaps vindication written across her alien features. "Your ancestors and ours were engineered by a species called the architects," she explained, "beings who created both our kinds as experiments in biological diversity and cultural development." Something went wrong, Kate guessed, feeling pieces of an impossible puzzle clicking into place in her mind. "The architects feared what we might become together," Kirith confirmed. "So they separated our species across the galaxy and forbade us from making contact." Linda lowered her weapon completely now, as the implications sank in for all of them. But you came here anyway, she observed, looking at the hundreds of Valdran warriors who watched this exchange with intense focus. Who rebelled, Kirith said simply, and paid the price when the architects destroyed our homeworld in retaliation. Only survivors were those of us stationed on remote outposts like this one, waiting and hoping that someday your kind would develop the technology to find us. Kate felt her throat tighten with unexpected emotion as she looked at these alien women who had waited for thousands of years in isolation for a reunion they could never be certain would come. What happens now? Kate asked, though she suspected she already knew. The Ents worker smiled, and it transformed her face into something both beautiful and heartbreaking in its hopefulness. No, we go home together, she said, gesturing upward toward the stars. Beyond the violet storms, your people need allies against what is coming, and we need family we have been denied for too long. Amy was already typing frantically on her datapad as she pulled up recent reports of unexplained energy signatures appearing throughout known space. The architects, Kate breathed, understanding flooding through her. They have begun awakening again, Kirith confirmed. And when they discover what we have done here, they will come for both our species, but together we stand a chance of surviving what alone would destroy us. Linda looked at Kate with a question clear in her eyes, waiting for the commander to make the decision that would change everything. Kate thought of Earth and all the people who had no idea that humanity's origin story was about to be rewritten completely. She thought of the responsibility that came with this knowledge and the danger that bringing these warriors back might invite. Then she looked at Kirith and saw in those amber eyes the same determination and courage that had driven humans to explore the stars. Despite every danger, we need to contact Earth, Kate said finally, and prepare them for what is coming. But Kirith is right, she added, looking between Linda and Amy. We are stronger together. Kirith extended her hand palm up in a gesture that somehow transcended the vast differences between their species. Valdran women behind her began to move, gathering equipment and supplies with practiced efficiency that spoke of long preparation. Within hours, the Discovery was surrounded by Valdran ships that had been hidden in the planet's moon, waiting for this exact moment. Kate stood on the bridge, watching as the combined fleet prepared to jump to Earth's coordinates. Amy was already deep in conversation with Valdran scientists, exchanging data and theories that flew over Kate's head. Linda coordinated with Valdran tactical officers, establishing communication protocols and defensive strategies. And Kirith stood beside Kate, watching the stars with an expression of hope mixed with determination. Her peoples have much to learn from each other, she said quietly. Kate nodded, knowing that everything was about to change in ways both wonderful and terrifying. Jump drive engaged, and space folded around them, carrying humans and Valdran together toward an uncertain future. Whatever came next, they would face it as allies bound by ancient design and newfound purpose. The architects had tried to keep them apart, but in the end, love and kinship proved stronger than even the gods who made them. Kate smiled as Earth appeared on the view screen, knowing that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, ancient eyes opened and took notice of what had been done. The real challenge, she realized, was only just beginning. But for the first time in their long history, neither humans nor Valdran would face it alone.